I narrate the scary stories you send me. If you want to share your story, I'll be the one to tell it. You can find a WhatsApp number and an email address in the description box. Send me your stories either in writing or as a voice message. I'll pick the best ones to share. Now let's get to today's stories. They're going to be pretty intense. If you scare easily, you might want to skip this. Don't listen alone. Try listening with friends or family. Let's begin. My name is Iqbal. This story is about my family. My father has 5 brothers. 2 of them are good, decent people, but the other 3 are jealous and have always been my father's rivals since they were kids. The problem started because my great-grandfather adored my father. He'd even let him sleep on his chest. My uncles could never stand that favoritism. Life went on. My uncles and father grew up. In our Balak culture, it's traditional to marry young. My father got married and began his life with my mother. My uncles held such a grudge, they could barely look at him. They plotted to kick my father out of the house. My parents had no one else. They were poor and worked hard as farmers in the countryside. During this time, my older sister was born. Life was okay for a while. Then my brother was born, and my father managed to get a passport and apply for a visa to Dubai. Luckily, he got a family visa. He moved to Dubai with everyone, worked tirelessly, moved up in his job, and then I was born. Years went by. In 2007, my father decided to cancel the visa and return home. The family came back, thank God. My father had done well for himself, and we were happy. I guess my uncles couldn't stand to see us doing well. There's a custom in our family called Badasada. My aunt went to my uncle and gossiped about my mother's side of the family. My uncle was very poor, and since our luck had changed, he and a friend hatched a plan to cause trouble for my dad. They decided black magic was the best way to do it. They started their rituals. A few months later, my father went back to Dubai to work. When he returned a year later, his personality had completely changed. Out of nowhere, he started violent arguments. He hit my mother on the head with a metal rod, screaming that he would marry again. My mother pleaded, "God gave you 6 children with me. If there's something wrong with me, just tell me." All he said was that he was going to remarry. The fights got worse. He beat my mother and refused to provide for us. In our village homes, we have clay ovens called tandoors. My mother had lit the oven for cooking. I can't even describe how bad the fight was. Our relatives had to intervene to stop it. My mother ran away and went to her parents' house. Our home was broken. Within a year, all our property was sold. We were left in poverty. After a few months, my father got another visa and went back to Dubai, but he couldn't earn any more. He only lost money. We struggled to get by on the little I made as a laborer. My father did remarry. This second wife was also against us and used charms to make sure he'd never come back to us. But to her credit, she never bothered us kids directly. We grew up and started working for ourselves. Thank God, we became independent through our own hard work. We worked as laborers in Pakistan for a time. Then my oldest brother went abroad to work. Later, my second oldest brother went to Dubai. A year after that, I went to Dubai too. We brothers were always close. We'd do anything for each other. They'd send money home as soon as they got paid. But because of my uncles and aunts' witchcraft, I could never understand where all our money went. There was always tension and arguing at home. My brothers got married. We were living in a rented house. My brother was earning, but our situation kept getting worse. Let me jump back to my childhood for a second. There was a family party for the kids. We were all playing. Suddenly, my uncle stood up and slapped me across the face for absolutely no reason. I was furious. Since I was a kid, I've had a strong faith in God, His prophet, and my spiritual guide. I yelled at my uncle, "You hit me for no reason. I curse you in the name of God, His prophet, and my saints. You will have an accident tomorrow." Believe me, it happened exactly like that. My uncle drove a rickshaw. It flipped over. Because it was cold, he was wrapped in a shawl and got tangled in it. He almost broke his neck. It was saved by an inch. After that day, I never had a moment of peace. Everything I did backfired. My mother told me, "They used black magic on you, to make sure you're never happy." My mother understands these deep family pains, and we trust her. The black magic performed on my mother was particularly vile. It involved a spell on a cloth stained with blood. I can't go into the details here. She was treated by many people. When she came back, she said, "I had a dream. I saw a sign that I should go to the shrine of Pir Baba." So she started going there. She always found peace with the people at his shrine. She'd stay there. The shrine is in Balochistan. They have rules there. The rooms are built in rows so men and women have separate areas divided by curtains. My mother started living there part-time and became a true devotee. She began to get better. She'd often go and stay, and we'd leave her there and come home. Then my visa came through. I went to Dubai and worked for 2 years. My family arranged my marriage. It was with my older brother's in-laws, and we liked each other. It was a love marriage, and my mother-in-law agreed to let her 2 daughters live together. My fiancé was fine when we got engaged. Brother, I was so happy. For the first time, I felt my luck was changing. I was going to marry the girl I wanted. She was incredibly beautiful, so beautiful that her glow seemed to outshine the sun. A few days after we were engaged, her health began to fail. She said, "It feels like needles are stabbing my heart, like a sewing machine is running in my chest." She would lose consciousness. She saw doctors who said it was just gas, but her pain was extreme. Meanwhile, I decided to go through with the wedding quickly because her family was very poor. They were simple country people. They brought a wedding procession to our house. Right there during the ceremony, my wife had a stabbing pain in her heart. She said the needles were burning. I wanted to cry. The wedding party got home. We had to lay her on a bed. I was outside with the men where the celebration was happening. The rituals were completed and the night passed. When I came into the house with the wedding music and drums, I found my wife in a terrible state. The next day was the wedding feast. The day after the feast, I took her to a woman who knew about folk remedies. She tried some things, but nothing worked. Then things started happening that hadn't happened before. She started having fits as if possessed. Her voice would suddenly change to a deep man's voice. Her hair would be a mess, and she'd cackle and speak nonsense. When we asked who she was or what she wanted, she'd say, "We have come, we like her, we will take her with us." My mother cried when she saw this. I was my parents' favorite child, and I had seen fewer hardships than my brothers, so my mother was especially protective of me. She said, "I will take you to the shrine of my Pir Baba." Brother, that saint's shrine is in Balochistan. His name is Sakai Baksh Bor, was the name of his horse. The story goes that the great Saint Shabaz Kalandar tested his generosity by asking for his horse. Sakai had already prepared the horse as a gift. When Shabaz Kalandar saw this, he said, "I am happy to see you are as kind-hearted as I heard. From now on, people will call you Sakai Baksh, which means the generous giver of the horse." I went to his shrine and stayed one night. When I came home, my wife was better. My mother said she had to go for a pilgrimage on a specific holy date, so I kept taking my wife there. She started to improve. There was only one pilgrimage left when my vacation ended. I had to go back to Dubai. A family member took my wife for the last visit instead of me. I wasn't allowed to go. My own health got worse. My father refused to acknowledge any of this. I felt helpless, trapped between poverty and my sick wife. After 6 months in Dubai, I came back. She was completely different. She said, "I dream at night that I'm holding a plate full of blood. A horrible creature comes, licks it all up with one swipe of its tongue, and then leaves, and the pain in her heart remained. There was no medical explanation." One day, she had another possession episode. Believe me, she got on all fours like a frog and started jumping like one. She was leaping 5 or 6 feet in the air and landing on a concrete floor. It looked like she would shatter her bones, but when she snapped out of it, she just asked what happened and get up and walk away. A few days later, she had an even worse episode. Her voice changed to that deep man's voice again. It said, "We like this girl, we will take her." My aunt's daughter lived very close to us. I was very fond of her. My aunt's daughter had made okra curry. In our tradition, if you cook something a relative likes, you send them some. The person who receives it sometimes returns the dish, but some believe it's bad luck to return it empty. So they put some curry in a huge piece of flatbread, rolled it up, balak bread is enormous, and sent it with a child to give to my aunt. When the child brought the bread over, my wife was there. As soon as the child asked for the bread back, she snatched it and shoved the entire thing into her mouth in 1 second. This bread was so big it would take a cow 15 seconds to eat it. My nephew was holding a half-liter bottle of mango juice. She snatched it, opened it, and chugged the entire thing in 1 second. Then she crushed the plastic bottle with one hand and threw it away. Another time, my uncle's 10-year-old son was walking home around 1 a.m. after buying a dessert called faluda. Someone warned him my wife was there. He was carrying a 1-kilogram bag of it. She snatched the bag and swallowed all of it in a single second. It was the most horrifying thing I'd ever seen. I was terrified. I was 18. She was younger than me, about 15, but she seemed much older. I was scared. When my mother-in-law saw this, she said, "I'm taking her. I'll get her treated at my house." She took her away. I was from a poor family and couldn't afford to be idle. I went to a place called Nuriabad near Karachi and worked as a mechanic's helper for 600 rupees. A few days passed and my mother-in-law brought my wife back, saying she was fine now. About a month later, near the time of Shabi Barat and the smaller Eid, I decided to go home for the holiday. I kept working. Suddenly, I got a terrible toothache. The pain was so bad I was banging my head against the wall. There was no hospital nearby. It was like a jungle. I couldn't sleep for 7 nights. I was taking 4 pain pills at a time, but it did nothing. I kept a cooler full of cold water and would hold it in my mouth to numb the pain. That's how I got through it. One day before the holiday, I told my mom I was coming home. I got there a day early. The toothache suddenly stopped. My mind was numb from the pain. I told my mom about the tooth. She said, "Be careful, don't get it pulled. I had a dream that a great disaster is hanging over our house. Maybe your toothache was holding it off." I was in such pain myself. I'd taken so many pills my stomach was bleeding from the irritation. I put up with it, but finally decided to get the tooth pulled. I went to a dentist. Believe me, he had to give me 5 injections. He had to pry my jaw open and yank the tooth out with pliers. The pain was so extreme my legs gave out. I went home and told my mother. She said, "I told you not to do it. Now be ready for trouble." The next day was Shabi Barat. That day, my wife ironed clothes for both of us. That night, we prayed together and were sitting in our room. Right at the time, I had my tooth pulled. My wife's body jolted, her hands twisted, then her whole body went limp, and she died. She died in just 10 seconds. I lost my mind. I was raging. My mother, crying and angry, said, "I told you, but you didn't listen. Now see what has happened." After her death, I started investigating. I learned from many sources that a powerful 3-year black magic spell had been put on my wife. She died after 1 year. The people who did this didn't want this beautiful girl to stay in my house and be happy. Some rivals had come to me before the marriage, demanding I marry someone from their family instead. My mother-in-law had refused. One of them apparently said, "Just see how I make this couple's life hell." I went to a spiritual healer who told me, "You have big problems. It is destined that you and your house will never know peace. Your marriage should not have happened until this was resolved. There was a danger to you and to the girl." A month after my wife's death, I came to Qatar. I've been working here for 3 years, but I don't know where the money I earn goes. It just vanishes. There's no blessing in it. Every day there are fights and problems at home. Small accidents keep happening. This is how my story continues. If you think it's worth sharing, please tell your friends. Share it with this YouTube family. Thank you for letting me share my story.